They're the sobering numbers that we dread each day. 88 Victorians have died from COVID-19 in the last 5 days. Tonight, almost 700 are in hospital, including 43 receiving intensive care treatment and 25 on ventilators. A vaccine is the only hope of beating this invisible enemy. Some of Australia's top scientists are confident of developing one, but they're hampered by a lack of funding.
It's our only ticket back to normality.
It's pretty well ready now, and that's why we're frustrated.
The vaccine race is on around the world, from Russia to Asia and the US. Donald Trump is throwing billions at it.
We're supporting numerous companies that are doing very well.
Hoping for a breakthrough before his November election. Bill Gates has pledged $500 million to ensure the poorest countries get it too.
Whoever finds this vaccine must share it.
Australia is at the forefront of the vaccine race. University of Queensland has started phase 1 of human trials to test their vaccine safety. Flinders University in South Australia has already completed phase 1 trials under the watchful eye of Professor Nikolai Petrovsky.
How does it feel having one of the most important jobs in the world right now?
Well, it's stressful, to be honest. There are a lot of eyes on us, and I guess there's a lot of faith resting on our technology, so we have to deliver.
Before we get to the results, let's clear up some misconceptions about coronavirus vaccines.
That claim that there's never been a vaccine for a coronavirus, is that incorrect?
So yes, we had a successful SARS vaccine in animal models. It wasn't tried in humans because SARS went away, so there was no need to try it in humans, but it was working.
Before a vaccine can be made available to the public, it needs to complete 3 stages of human trials. Phase 1 involves a small sample of people and focuses on safety and side effects. Phase 2 is tested on closer to 1,000 people, with a focus still on safety. Phase 3 is anywhere from 30 to 50,000 people, usually across multiple countries, and this is the crucial test to see whether a vaccine really works. Overnight, Vladimir Putin announced a Russian-developed vaccine was skipping the all-important Phase 3 trials and going straight to public release. His daughter has had the shot.
The temperature was 38 degrees. The following day it was a bit over 37, and that's it. She feels well, and the stats are great.
Scientists around the world have labelled Russia's decision dangerous. Back in Adelaide, Professor Petrovsky says his Phase 1 trials involving 40 human volunteers have showed the COVAX-19 candidate is safe with minimal side effects. He's yet to release the full data, but is planning on Phase 2 trials, which he believes should be rolled out in Victorian aged care homes.
We're in discussions with a number of nursing homes in Victoria to actually extend our clinical trials so we can immunise the people in those nursing homes and hopefully protect them against the circulation of the virus.
Are there any risks with doing that at this stage of the vaccine's development?
So there really is no downsides to extending the trials to immunise people within nursing homes. They really have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
In phase 2, we still like to have relatively healthy volunteers, and obviously we need people to have a certain level of health and be able to consent to participate.
Associate Professor Paul Griffin is from Nucleus Network, a specialist company conducting human trials of vaccines.
I think we really need to see a bit more data about actual protection before we start using these vaccines as an intended solution.
He's involved in testing of the Novavax vaccine, a US product that Donald Trump has thrown almost $2 billion at to fast-track its development, with human trials now happening in Australia.
A very small piece of the virus is made, there's no actual virus involved, so there's no virus in the vaccine, and then we give that to people as part of the vaccine, and hopefully they get an immune response to that then when they get exposed to the actual virus, that immune response will protect them from getting the infection.
The funding means the Novavax vaccine is already being manufactured before the trial results are known. 150 million doses will be ready this year, $2 billion by the end of next year.
Normally we wouldn't consider that till we've got the phase 1, 2 and 3 data, but in this case a lot of the front-running vaccine candidates are scaling up that manufacturing now.
President Trump is hoping a successful vaccine before November could be his ticket to another term in the White House.
And we're mass producing the most promising candidates in advance so that we're ready immediately upon approval. We have our military lined up.
The World Health Organization is one of the bodies trying to contain expectations on vaccines, saying they may not be the silver bullet we all need.
A lot of people, myself included, are very confident that we'll get one or maybe even a few vaccines that are at least moderately effective.
A vaccine developed by Oxford University is another fast out of the blocks on development that is so far showing more side effects than some of the lesser known contenders.
Bolted out of the gate, if you want to use a horse racing analogy. But we know those horses that bolt out of the gate, 90% of the time they never win the Melbourne Cup. Developing a vaccine is more about a marathon than a sprint.
And that's why the best case scenario of when a vaccine might be ready in Australia is the middle of next year. Professor Petrovsky says his product is very safe, using the same technology already used in previous vaccines. The biggest hurdle slowing him down is a lack of funding.
We've had no support from the federal government to date in any of our program. We've obviously asked for it, but we haven't received anything.
How do you feel about that?
Look, it's disappointing. I mean, when you don't get supported, by your own government. We've actually increasingly getting support from overseas governments, ironically.
Pakistan is showing more interest than Australia, with COVAX-19 now moving towards phase 2 trials there instead.
We're just very, very disappointed in Canberra right now.
So I'm very happy to talk to the university and to any other research organisations that have a viable candidate that they'd like to take forward.
Science and Technology Minister Karen Andrews says the UQ and Oxford vaccines are currently the government's main focus.
Why isn't the Australian government throwing more money at vaccine development?
Quite frankly, we're just not going to throw money away. We are going to continue with the approach that we have taken, which is strategic and it's positioning Australia quite well.
Only a few billion people and the global economy hanging on those results, so no pressure.